road.
Hi, everybody. I finally made it. Thanks for hanging in there. This is HAL SPARKS, Mega Worldwide. I've been on the road. I just drove back from Los Angeles, and I was doing fairly well on schedule. I was all right. And, of course, had to stop for family FaceTime. So I did that in Baker, where the giant thermometer is. And everything was going, I was like on schedule to I was going to be, have to start the show later than I thought, but not that much later. And then, of course, the monsoons. There is a torrential downpour between Vegas and Los Angeles right now, to the point where, I want to say yesterday, the road got shut down in the middle of the day because water was coming across the freeway in Nevada. And so they had to stop traffic because it was flooded. The freeway in Nevada was flooded. Just wrap your head around that. Let it boil for a couple of minutes. And then today on the way back, they were forecasting a similar amount of rain. So the question is like whether I could get through in time to do it with what I still had to do in LA before I came back this morning. And bang, bang, boom, fada, bing, fada, fa. Here I am. So all's well. Sorry to start so late. Appreciate everybody hanging in. I wasn't able to jump on and let people know because of the torrential downpour. It's just not advisable. So I had so much, and it's like yesterday. I hope people enjoyed the show. I was able to post the show from Flappers last night. Normally I do it, and it's just for patrons. It's a free show for Patreon folks. But the settings at the club were such that I didn't have the ability to get in their booth and set it up so that it was a private show and all that kind of stuff, because they had a new tech person there and she was training somebody else, and it was just so there was a lot going on. So I just figured, our Patreon supporters are very magnanimous, so I figured they would just understand. So everybody got a free show last night. I hope you enjoyed it. I think for the most part, like 92 to 95% brand new, top of my head material. Super fun. Chat join. Yes, you can join the Discord. That is true. And if I have to update, they will often post it on the Discord to let people know that I'm, either I can't make it or I am going to make it, or what time, or that kind of stuff. So there's a couple of things. Like yesterday, I was all set up to do some stuff, and then apparently, where I do the show at the house in LA is in the garage, which is converted to a rehearsal space. Many of you have seen it. It's where 01 and sometimes Nerd Halen and definitely Downtown and all the bands rehearse. And so I just set up a green screen in there and do my show from there. Apparently, one of the roomies broke off his key in the lock. The other roomie had to replace the lock because he couldn't get the key out. Did so, and didn't leave me a key. So when I showed up, I had to do press for the San Francisco gig and all this kind of stuff. So I was there with enough time, set up, sit down, put my little green screen up, set up my microphone, my camera, and all that kind of stuff. It takes me about a half hour of prep. So I always have to, and God knows, I now bring my laptop because neither one of them knows how to update software. Don't get me started. And so I'm all like, okay, I got about 20 minutes, half hour, I should be fine before my interview. And I go out there and none of my keys work. None that didn't. All right. And I recognized even, in the flagging light of the Burbank, North Hollywood Valley Village Sun that it was a brand new lock. So I sent out a text message barrage. Everyone was either at work or across town, so there was no coming to the rest. So I had to set up in the house and do the interview from there, and the Wi-Fi was terrible. That's why I plug in when I'm there. Blah blah blah. Anyways, so that hence no afternoon show to tomorrow or yesterday, and I apologize. I wanted to have it happen, but then so maybe it worked out because of the stand-up show. I hope that's okay. I hope you enjoyed it. It was super fun to do. I will be doing that with a couple of rare exceptions, the last Wednesday of every month. I have a residency at Flappers now, so I'll be there the last Wednesday of every month. And more, I have business meetings, so more stories to tell about upcoming projects very soon. I like to wait till they're well along the road before getting into that. But anyways, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for being here. Sorry I'm late. Hello. So yesterday, one of the videos that I had up that I was going to do, and I honestly, I don't feel the need. Oh, good. Thanks, Stargal. You got tenure Flappers. That's exactly right. Think of doing a home and home with Trey, a home and home, doing a home and home with Trey. I don't know what that is reference to. Yeah, Trey Crowder did a guest spot yesterday. It was very nice, and Charlene opened the show. It was a good time. Yeah, Biden kicked ass in Maryland tonight. He's doing. I mean, the man is working. Now, keep in mind, we will get into. I've got a couple of clips. One of which is. I've been dying to watch this one just because I love to see Glenn Beck panic. I saved this one. I have not watched it at all. But I just need to see, you'll see, like it's classic, like Glenn Beck panicking about the end of the world. But, one of the things I want to show you guys was one of the videos I was all set up to do yesterday, was this young lady. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Hal, I can read. I'm capable of understanding words, and therefore, when I read those words in that order, I mean, I would assume that because someone wrote them, put them in the title section of a video, made them, which makes them bold. Then they also put this Biden admin sides with corporations, not the railroad corps, in railroad labor standoff. He sides with the corporations. Mr. Amtrak siding with, I guess, America's track. So I'm certain that this is, I mean, why would I see this video and what it's called, Biden versus the railroaders? Who could look at this and think, it must be, as they say in England, it must be what's on the tin. So I want to see what her argument is, because I know this story, and I'm curious to see what their take is on it. Let's see.
Corporations are now...
Oh, it's very loud. Sorry. That's very loud. Am I loud? Am I right? Okay, volume's right. Okay.
Now in the midst of a fierce contract negotiation.
Fierce. They're in the midst of it.
And a board that...
And by the way, could they not get any modern train photos? Is this like, does this only pertain to certain types? Let's see. Here's let me go to I have a picture of one of the railroad representatives that they're talking about. Which fucking trains? Seriously, is this just like the ride around Gatlinburg train? Does this only apply to ones where they still wear like the big billowy hat, the big blue striped hat? All right.
That was appointed by President Joe Biden.
Oh, and they're zooming in on the pictures. It's very Ken Burns.
Has actually just sided with the corporations.
Yeah, which corporations? The coal miners? The dudes who work the shovel?
I mean, isn't that shocking?
Yeah, it's weird. That's shocking? It's shocking. It almost sounds like an intentional misreading of what's actually happening, but let's see.
Now, this is a story that we're updating you on too.
Oh, good. Okay, you're updating me. So this has been an ongoing story, meaning it's an old story. And the old story, you think you can reshape into a fuck Joe Biden story. And so you're just bringing this up. We'll see. I'm making too much of it. I'm certain that's not what's going on.
He had covered the initial reports on this, but just to give you a refresher.
Yeah. Catch me up, because obviously you didn't lay the hammer down enough.
Before we get to the latest news, the railroad workers have been without a contract for almost 3 years.
Okay. Put a pin in that thought, kids. It's going to be important later. They've been without a contract for almost 3 years. Now, using today's date, what was the beginning of like almost 3 years ago, like 2 years and 3 months ago? What was society getting prepared for about 2 years and 3 months and change ago? What can anybody? No. Hold. Almost 3 years. That's all right. Here we go.
3 years, no contract. And
almost, but sure.
You know what that means?
That means they haven't had a contract and they've been working on the old contract, which gives them a cost of living increase, but not enough to meet the current inflation, which is transitory to this year based on COVID.
That means that they have not gotten a pay increase, and that's a big problem, especially.
No, it means they've gotten a pay increase based on their previous contract.
When you consider the inflation that we're experiencing right now.
Yes, which of course is all Joe Biden's fault and has nothing to do with supply shock. It's clearly all that money we printed and dumped into the economy.
And that's pushing workers to quit because they're like, I can't make do with the money I'm getting paid for this.
All right, okay, so they're quitting because of the money. Put a pin in that too.
Work, and I don't want to do this anymore. I
don't want to do it anymore. They take their hat off and they throw it down and they put down their coal shovel.
Done. So some of these workers quit.
Some of them. That's not. I mean, some workers are quitting every fucking thing.
And the ones that remain end up working punishing hours.
Right.
In some ways, they're on call.
In some ways?
On their days off. And
in some ways, they're on call on their days off. Okay. In some ways. I mean, this is a woman who knows manual labor. So I'll defer to her. I mean, what do I know? If you've ever been to the Kohl's that's formerly Main Street in Deerfield, Illinois, and you've walked through the men's section, sure, you've walked on parquet flooring that I actually put down. But it's been a while. Obviously, I've been wisecracking for a while. So things have changed. I don't even know. Do people even use their fingers anymore to do manual labor? I forget.
It's just been a complete and utter disaster.
It's just been a complete and utter disaster. That's why they've been covering it for the last 3 years. They haven't? Oh, they just picked this story up 45 days ago? Weird.
Conditions aren't good. The pay isn't good. And so last month.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter. I mean, at this point, are any of these details in line with reality? We'll see.
Last month, the Brotherhood.
Last year, a month ago, this week,
of locomotive engineers and trainmen voted 99%, nearly unanimous, in favor of going on strike. And the day before the union was legally able to strike, the White House got involved.
The day before they could legally go on strike, the White House got involved. Obviously, because they not only do they want to side with the big corporations, but they want to make sure that all these greedy Amazon customers get their packages, and that, I guess, liquid nitrogen and natural gas tanks and all the other shit you see stacked on. They don't want the train lines to grind to a halt, so that, obviously, so that Wells Fargo can get their big bags of money through Indian territory. I don't know. I'm just going with the trains she was showing.
Biden stepped in.
He just stepped in. He was like, stop everything. You put Ukraine on pause. Whatever. Student loan forgiveness. Hold on. I've got to fuck the railroad workers. I need this moment. I was waiting for the perfect moment.
And he created what's referred to as a presidential emergency board.
Yes, he stepped in and fired them like Reagan did with the air traffic controllers. Fuck you guys, you're all fired. No, he formed a board. Okay.
Or PEB.
Okay, the PEB. Let's just go with PEB.
Okay, and he did this by executive order, which prevented the unions from being able to go on strike.
Oh my God. Railroad workers can never strike again. How is it? He's basically decimated the railroad workers, the brotherhood of railroad. They can't strike ever again.
And so it prevents them from going on strike for at least 30 days.
I'm sorry, what? They can go on strike in 30 days if certain things. Can I, is this a bad time to point out that the workers at Young Turks tried to unionize and Cenk shut it down? Cenk issued an executive order with his vice chamberlain's Gelfling, her tacit approval, I suppose. So they set up a mediation board, and because the mediation board has shit to do, they can't go on strike for 30 days. Okay, I'm sure this gets worse. 30 whole days. Let's see. It's been 3 years. Sets up a board to mediate. Wait, it gets better.
And understand why he did that.
He did this because look at him pointing. He hates you. He wants to screw. He took the train when his kids were growing up and he was a congressman. He took the train every day back and forth. And the whole time he'd see those guys tearing tickets and the engineers and all the guys. And he'd go, oh, one of these days, I'm gonna get you. I'm just pretending to smile. Where's Mr. Amtrak so I can shake hands with him before I get on the train? Okay.
If the railroad workers go on strike.
What happens if the railroad workers go on strike?
Any supply chain issues that we've already experienced will be exacerbated.
You don't say.
Considerably.
Right. So goods and services that the middle class and the poor rely on more so than rich people will get the supply lines will get thinner, longer, and harder to maintain. Great. Basically she's saying, suck it up, poor people. Well, we can't wait 30 days, so you guys have to be fucked for 4 months and grind everything to a halt. It's silly. Wait, it gets worse.
And that puts the White House in panic.
And anyone who eats in panic.
Puts the corporations in panic.
It puts the people who eat in panic.
This is why organized labor is a powerful thing.
Yes. So Biden has said many times.
But unfortunately, Biden decided to step in.
He unfortunately decided to step in. Why?
And prevent them from legally striking for 30 days.
Oh, that bastard. He's not going to let supply chains completely collapse for a whole 30 days.
Okay.
Okay.
So even more context, you might be wondering, well, does Biden even have the executive authority to do that?
Yeah.
He absolutely does. The authority to create a presidential emergency board.
By the way, this is not a new story, just for the record. This is from fucking mid-July. This video is from August 21st. Now, why would, hold on one second. If you're doing a story, Biden, let's see. What was the anniversary of, let's see, anniversary of us getting out of Afghanistan? It was, let's see, certainly, we're looking at the, the lead up to student loan debt or whatever, but the passing of like the CHIPS Act was, but he was on a tour of doing those kind of things. So it's a cascade of good news.
Was established in the Railway Labor Act of 1926. So Biden's executive order is not without precedent.
Right. Yes, oftentimes governors and presidents have stepped in as a mediating body when talks have broken down between workers and a corporation, especially one that is integral to the livelihoods of a great many people. They will often go, okay, these guys are about to walk off and we can't have them do that, so we're forcing you guys to come to the table. Now, wait till she gets, okay, first of all, let me just do this real quick. Before we go any further, for context, since she's all about context. This is from July 18th. Biden steps into rail labor dispute. This is when when it got on their radar. The White House has arrived. An emergency board to resolve an ongoing labor dispute between rail carriers and the unions that represent their workers will get to work today, averting strikes that seemed imminent. I have been notified by the National Mediation Board that in its judgment, these disputes threaten substantially to interrupt interstate commerce to a degree that would deprive a section of the country of essential transportation service. President Joe Biden wrote Friday in an executive order that prevents any work stoppage for 60 days. So she's saying right when they were going to stop, they can't do it for at least 30 days. The reason is because basically he signed this thing 30 days ago. It's just 60 days. They have 30 days to build up the board and then 30 days for the board to act. So, all right. The fine print. The panel will consist of a chair and 2 other members, all of whom shall be appointed by the president to investigate and report on these disputes. No member shall be pecuniarily or otherwise interested in any organization of railroad employees or any carrier. It will report to the president with respect to the dispute within 30 days of its creation. As yours truly reported in May, I love reporters that write like it's like this is an old railroad story. So please, anyone writing about railroad disputes, please use old like frontier language and be very colorful. A decimated railroad workforce has been impeding efforts to transport goods and in doing so further hobbling an already delicate supply chain. Over the last 6 years, Class 1 freight railroads, which include BNSF Railway, CSX Transportation, Kansas City Southern Railway, Norfolk Southern, and Union Pacific have been hemorrhaging a combined 45,000 workers, or 29% of their workforce, over the last 6 years. Not just about, oh, well, we haven't had a contract in 3 years, so I'm a-quitting. That's none of this. This is just fucking cartoonishly dumb reporting from Anna and co. Now, This is I did not highlight this. Now, you know that, like, sometimes, you know, Jimmy Dore will often highlight language that he thinks is important. I am not highlighting any of this other than when I do that temporarily. I don't, because I'm reading this. I read this a month ago or and change. But unions, which have been in negotiation with employers for years, greeted Friday's news with praise for the administration. We commend President Biden for announcing a board of neutral arbitrators to investigate and report its findings and recommendation to help both parties work towards a resolution, said Greg Regan, president of the Transportation Trade Department of AFL-CIO, and said, quite simply, the facts are on our side, and we look forward to the forthcoming recommendations of the presidentially appointed arbitrators. Employers who had lobbied unsuccessfully to keep their dispute before the mediation board were also largely positive. We are pleased that President Biden has established a presidential emergency board to assist the parties in bringing the current round of national rail negotiations to a successful conclusion. The National Carriers Conference Committee, which represents the nation's freight railroads in collective bargaining, said, what happens next? We anticipate the PEB, again, this is fucking July 18th. We'll hold hearings in the coming weeks and issue a written report, including settlement recommendations in mid-August. NCCC and CCCCC said CC DeVille, it noted that although PEB recommendations are not binding, they historically have assisted the parties in reaching voluntary agreements during a 30-day cooling off period. A 30-day cooling off period. A 30-day cooling off period. That begins when the PEB issues its report. It's just, do you have to be that big an asshole? Do you have to pretend that Biden is just choosing apropos of nothing to fuck rail workers and side with big corporations in this nonsense? Are you because that's a private company and those employees have a union, and if either one of them walks away from the table, everybody else is fucked. So the president steps in, sets up a mediation board. There's 30 days, and they're like, right about the time that these guys wanted to go on strike illegally one day before. The creation of the PEB was heralded by the unions and the railroad companies, and literally said, as soon as they finish a report, there's a 30-day cooling off period where they look at the report and then they'll mitigate and mediate their desires and what on the recommendations that come from that. Now wait till you hear, because the report came out, what Biden's appointed board has suggested. And this is going to give you a math cramp that's super fun. Okay, here we go.
Okay. But here's my argument, Waz.
Okay. Waz is the other person there who will, Wozni Lambri? I don't know.
Instead of preventing them from striking, how about you apply pressure to the corporations that are doing real well?
They're not. They're hemorrhaging workers. And because they're considered an essential service, they can't raise rates to a crazy kind of like, an optional level, like you can with optional elements of the, even airline tickets are easier to raise than the price of commuter train fares.
To share that revenue, just pay the workers. Please just pay the
workers. Just pay them. They're paying them. They don't have enough workers for the amount of work they need to do. And like the margin for fucking railroads in this country, is anybody under the illusion in this fucking country that if you want to get into the big, Scrooge McDuck cash, you go into trains in America? You're kidding, right?
Workers. And they just won't do it, right?
They just won't do it.
So now we're in this disastrous situation where the workers are unable to strike legally
for 30 days because they agreed to the arbitration board and they're glad it happened. They don't want to go on strike. Okay.
And the negotiations have not been going well. So let's
really, I thought the fact that the president would have to form an arbitration board of neutral parties to help them get through it was a sign that they were going fantastically, swimmingly well.
Let's get to what we know from the latest round of negotiations. Number one, profits for these railroad companies on the rise. Let's take a look at this graph.
On the rise. The average profit margin for the 5 top US railroads has more than doubled since 2005. When it was they were consistently underwater. Also, all right, hold on. Bloomberg Intelligence. Okay, hold on. Railroad, there's no article with this, so give me a second. Bloomberg Railroad Rise. This is 3 days ago. Whoops, hold on one second. Is this graphic in here? Hold on. Okay, nope, it's not on that one. Give me a second. See if this. Yeah, okay, so this is where she got the article from. This is from. It's amazing to me how much the Young Turks cites Bloomberg. Anybody else considering how they were towards Bloomberg during the presidential campaign? But Bloomberg is their go-to financial company. When they want an article, this is it. This is Thomas Black writing an opinion piece. Railroads get off track in obsessing about profit margins. The companies have angered customers and alienated workers while leaving little room for growth. Railroads hit a dangerous crossroads by the time you can follow. U.S. freight railroads are in a bit of a predicament, and it's not just because they are going down the wire on a labor contract negotiations with their 115,000 workers. Large railroads, including Union Pacific Corp and Warren Buffett's BNSF Railway Company, have juiced their profits so high by increasing efficiency and pairing their workforces over the last several years that they have boxed themselves into a corner with no catalyst to keep attracting investors. Adjusting operating margins for the 5 largest railroads were 41% last year, compared with 29% 10 years ago and 15% a couple of decades ago. Those margins are off the charts when compared with other transportation companies, including trucking, parcel, air freight, maritime shipping, airlines, you name it. Now, again, this is not apples. This is apples and oranges to some degree. It's more like apples and concrete blocks, because there's a shit ton of stuff that if you need to get it across land, you're going to put it on a train. And putting it on a truck, that's one, you can put one car, maybe you can stack 2. I passed a jackknifed double FedEx truck on my way back driving this time. Parcel is just another, that's a double dip. Air freight and airlines, you name it, are the same thing. So we'll see what the ultimate point of this. This is the article. Average profit margin for the top 5 U.S. Railroads has more than doubled. Adjusted operating margin. This is the 2005. It was a 16.8%, 41%. Adjusted operating margin versus operation, what it costs to operate. Okay, pushing those margins over the past 5 years to a level that analysts most likely would have thought were unobtainable, the railroads have angered their customers with high prices and poor service, and have alienated their workers who complain they're being overworked for the railroad after the railroads cut their ranks as much as possible. Profit margins can't rise further without inflicting even more damage on customers and workers, and the railroads have drawn the scrutiny of regulators. The Surface Transportation Board, the independent rail regulator, is on the warpath over the railroad's shoddy service and is now listening favorably to customers who want more nimble mechanisms to dispute rates, especially when they're captive to one railroad. The STB held hearings in April in which shippers and workers teed off the railroads, and regulators' new chairman, Martin Oberman, got into action. Okay, hold on one second. We'll get to him in a second. Give me 1 second. Take this down here. Take this over here. Control V. Okay. And the regulator's new chairman, Martin Oberman, got into action, saying service problems originated from the company shedding 45,000 workers over the past 6 years. Now, Martin J. Oberman, designated chairman of the Surface Transportation Board by, oh wait, who's this fucking guy? This guy who's doing all the good work, trying to push back on the companies and help customers and workers. Yeah, appointed by Joe Biden. The only outlet for growth for the railroads beyond the utility-like rate of the U.S. industrial production is to take long-haul freight away from trucks. This is impossible with current poor service, of course, but even when railroads eventually improve their on-time delivery statistics, most of the cargo they win from trucks will dilute their margins, although railroads can be, this is the very Bloomberg part of this. To win truck traffic, railroads will have to go after more cargo that doesn't pay as much as hauling automobiles and coal, such as maritime containers. In other words, there's no lucrative, low-hanging fruit for the railroads to take from trucks. Railroads will also have to improve service drastically and demonstrate consistent reliability with on-time pickup and delivery times, even during floods or blizzards. With more consistent service, customers wouldn't complain as loudly to the regulator and would likely be more open to the railroads' argument of why pay so much for rail service. A lot of shippers, because it's very expensive. I think everybody watching the show at some point has probably looked at the idea of like, I wouldn't mind taking a sleeper cabin from Chicago to LA or Chicago to San Francisco or Chicago to New York or New York to Kansas City or whatever. Like there are these lines that go through, and then you look at how much a sleeper cabin costs and you're like, Jesus Christ, what's happening? How many of these things are there? I mean, it should be a regular thing, like almost as a tourism plus, but it's it's prohibitively expensive. And I guess it's because it's full of people who are afraid to fly, so they can charge them a premium. And there's enough of them in a country of 340 million people. Yeah. And yes, this is an opinion piece. Very important thing, Eric. So railroads have improved service. Okay, this is how he's trying to, this is the Bloomberg argument why if they're going to get those kind of margins for profit, they're going to need to do other shit. So no one can argue railroads can't afford their workers. In one example, Union Pacific, the largest publicly traded U.S. railroad, paid investors more than $41 billion in dividends and share buybacks over 5 years through 2021. The first 6 months of this year, the Omaha, Nebraska company heaped an additional $5 billion on shareholders. While the rail companies have been attentive to their investors, by the way, these are people who own stock in railroads, for those of you that play Monopoly. This isn't just this. We're not talking about fat catting per se. Like, I mean, pensions own fucking railroad. Like, it's one of the most consistently strong investments since the fucking country had a stock market. Yeah. So all the railroad companies are struggling to hire workers despite the pay and benefits. What? I skipped something. While the rail companies have been attentive to their investors, they were caught off guard at the beginning of the pandemic with the mood of their workforce. When freight momentarily slowed to a crawl in March and April 2020 because of the U.S. lockdowns to stem the spread of COVID-19, the railroads furloughed workers to match the decline in their operations. They were somewhat taken aback when they couldn't easily bring back those workers as they had been able to for decades after furloughs. Look, it's a fucking year of COVID. Can we not pretend that this is the same as 2008 or the fucking dot-com bubble, for fuck's sake? All the rail companies were struggling to hire workers despite the pay and benefits. This should be a wake-up call for everyone, including rail investors. Instead of looking at the labor contract as an opportunity to win over their employees and work together to improve service again, the key to any strategy to take truck traffic, which is the essence of this dude's apparent investment scheme for the railroads. The railroads seem to be more concerned about protecting their profit margin gains rather than stealing from truck traffic. Railroads are offering a 17% compound rise over 5 years. The unions want 31%, while keeping medical benefits the same and easing some work rules. 3 professional arbiters appointed by President Joe Biden will now devise a proposal that the railroads and labor unions can accept. If the plan is rejected, Congress will have to step in to avoid the strike, which, of course, I'm sure Anna will we'll do a whole story about how the Democrat-run Congress has decided to fuck railroad workers.
By using Bloomberg intelligence, it was put together by the Washington Post. It shows that the average.
It was. Hold on. So railroad rise. That's that guy's opinion piece. I don't know where the Washington Post part of this is. Just. By the way, that particular graph has a yeah, but right here. If you click on the footnote, it says, if you follow railroads, you may notice I'm discussing operating profit margin instead of the industry term operating ratio. No other sector outside of transportation uses operating ratio, which is just the mirror opposite of what every other industry uses. It's only confusing, and until someone can explain why the industry had to adopt the operating ratio term, I'm going to continue thinking it was precisely to obfuscate and cover up the terrible operating margins of decades ago. He's just like, I'm not going to use this graph. I'm going to use a different standard and just act as if. Now we're going to get into fucking percentages where, like, yes, they paid their investors back $5 billion, but in the previous year, because of COVID, they didn't pay anything, or they went into debt and whatever.
Average profit margin for the top 5 US railroads has more than doubled. So they're doing well, and
they're doing okay. It's doubled from when it was below sustainability. Look at this. I'll give you an example. See this 30 line right here? Anything below that, you're in the business of pulling up track to repair other track. Just to set a standard for yourself.
They could share that wealth with the workers, but they're refusing to do it. Right. So yesterday, Biden's PEB released its recommendations.
Okay, so here it is. Biden puts together this board, the PEB, and they've got their recommendations for how this should go. They've talked to both sides. Let's hear it.
For a new contract.
All right, new contract.
Okay, so this is the group that Biden put together.
Right.
Okay, this isn't even the corporation that's making the proposal.
Right. These people have no ties to either the workers or the companies. They are neutral arbiters. Here we go.
The PEB report proposes a 22% cumulative pay increase over 5 years, retroactive to 2020.
All right. Let's see. What were the guys asking for? I think they were asking for, was it 21%? Wait. Okay, so unions are, okay, there we go. So the PEB report proposes a 22% cumulative pay increase over 5 years, retroactive to 2020. The unions were asking for 31%. The railroad was asking for 17%. Wait for it. And grant, by the way, wait till you hear what it's stacked on. Okay, and by the way, here we go. Retroactive to 2020. So they get paid for the 2 years in many cases where they were still, like, many of the railroads were shut down or not moving.
The proposal, which works out to an average 4.4% wage increase per year, is little.
Wait a minute. Tom Hall, World Socialist Website is the name of is where they're coming from on this. Just so you know, just
more than half.
It's half. It's half. Now, of course, it's 9%. Practically over the 2 years where they weren't actually working, over the year and a half where the trains weren't moving, the Amtrak trains especially.
half the current rate of inflation of 8.5%, entailing a major cut in real pay.
Yeah, that's not ongoing though. The idea is that it's going to be over 5 years and inflation's been coming down. You're using the standard. Okay, hold on. Wait, current inflation. Oh boy. There's the months on this. 21, where do we go? Bail stuff, 86, 83, 91. So it was 9-1 in June, 8-5 last month, and September 13th we'll find out what it was in August. Okay. And it was 7.5 in January. This is year over year, by the way. The idea is that we're not going to stay at fucking 8% forever.
That's what they came up with. We're going to give you a raise, but it's not going to be enough to even mitigate inflation.
And it's going to be the pay you've gotten already and a retroactive pay for the last 2 years. They don't have to go back and rework those train lines. It's a cash settlement. They got the pay that they were on track for before, and then they get whatever their pay would be. They get 4% of that from 2020 and from 2021 and for 2022 and for 2023 and 2024 and then into 2025.
So it's not a raise. It's still a pay cut when you consider inflation.
It would be if they only did 1 year.
It's just a disaster. Even worse, the PEB did not recommend any changes to the punishing attendance policies that railroad companies have implemented.
Hold on. They're citing it, but they're not putting up recommendations. Nope. Let's see. National Conference representing the freight railroads collective bargaining August 16th explained the PD video got smart TDs Ferguson to members PEB recommendations. Let's see. Smart ideas first weigh in PEB. Smart TD weighs in and says the benefits and work rules are a vast improvement over the carrier's previous proposals, but do not go far enough. They want more, obviously, because that's what the 30 days is for. With non-binding recommendations, yada, yada. Okay. The National Carriers Conference Committee, which represents the freight railroads in national collective bargaining on August 8th, explained that the PEB's recommendations would increase wages by 24% during the 5-year period from 2020 to 2024. Why the Rail Carriers Conference Committee says it would increase it by 24%. Anna's graphic from that website says 22, but we'll move from that. 2020 to 2024 with a 14.1% wage increase effective immediately. With a 14.1 wage effective immediately. The recommendations also include 5 annual $1,000 lump sum payments, adjustments to healthcare premiums, limited changes to work rules. A portion of the wage increases and lump sum payments would be retroactive, resulting more than $11,000 on average in immediate payouts to employees. So all these railroad workers, 111,000 of them, would based on these recommendations, get a 4.1% raise, 24% over the course of 4 years in this case. And then they would get $11,000 immediate payouts and then ongoing forward, $1,000 lump sum and their health premiums lowered. These recommendations, if implemented, would be the most substantial wage increases in decades, with average rail workers' wages reaching about $110,000 per year by the end of the agreement. With healthcare, retirement, and other benefits are considered, the value of rail employees' total compensation package, which already ranks amongst the highest in the nation, it would average more than $150,000 a year. Average rail worker would get $150,000 a year, retirement and health care as a result of this deal, including a retroactive $11,000 lump sum and a 4% increase. There is no one except Cenk and Anna at TYT that makes $150,000. No one. The value of the package, $150,000 a year. By 2024, they would be making $110,000 a year in cash, in payment, direct payment. And then they would also get health care, retirement, and other benefits considered. That's Biden's board head, Martin J. Oberman, starting this conversation, and then he's the guy kind of talking with the board about what he thinks would be fair for them. Now, keep in mind, this is from a fucking month ago that this started. And then they made their recommendations. It's a 60-day process. Here's our recommendation. There's a 30-day cooling off period. And then you guys can vote to either take this, implement it, or this goes to Congress, and Congress will basically take the recommendations of the PEB and basically insist upon it. That's what's going to happen. They can take it, or they can hang out and wait for Congress to vote it through, which they will.
I'll get to those details in a moment, but first, Waz, I want to give you an opportunity to jump in.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, you pretty much said everything there is to say here.
No, she left out a lot, actually. I think one of the things she left out is that they make $110,000 a year on average by the end of 2024, and there's a change to their on-call work status, and they make $150,000 if you include all the bennies. And they are the highest paid transportation workers in the industry. And they do heavy fucking work. They should. I don't even have a complaint with that part of it. But stop acting like they make $36,000 a year to get their hand caught in a fucking rail as it switches channels.
There was a lot of, tough talk. I think I was even on the show when Biden did his tough talk to Amazon, and we're unionizing and we're coming for you and blah, blah, blah. A lot of lip service paid to the labor movement in this country.
Yeah, that turned out to be pretty fucking awesome.
Putrid as it already is. And so, to see him
putrid
do this and just basically punch the working man in the face.
Yes, punch the working man in the face by making sure that he gets a retroactive raise to 2020 from when the negotiations started, benefits, change in work hours, lower healthcare premiums, and a wage that averages $110,000 a year within the next 2 years, with just a 4% raise per year.
It's just disgusting. And, symbolically, I'm not one who cares about symbolism too much, but the reason why a labor movement was even started was because of the freaking railroads.
Mm-hmm.
Just the punishing conditions, the amount of people.
Well, I mean, farm workers unions and factory workers in the Industrial Revolution. I mean, that was the big pairing. A lot of the railroads, quite frankly, were laid well before anybody thought they had a right to even push back.
People who literally died laying down the railroads in this country, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to go with they probably didn't have good union reps.
The conditions were so just unacceptable and inhumane.
Yes, the past sucked.
This is the industry that galvanized a labor movement in this country. And so to see Joe Biden, 100-something years later, just be a complete corporate flack and hack.
This is, by the way, this is the side that's allegedly on the side of what Democrats are trying to accomplish. I just read you all the details of the board that Biden put together and their recommendations. What the fuck? Who in the shit do they even look? I have a feeling. I don't know if this is because somebody walked up to Anna and just gave her the Bloomberg opinion piece, and she just saw the chart of profits and was like, "That's enough for me. I don't need to know anymore. It's shits on Biden. Let's roll with it because we can bullshit our way through the end of it." And I'm not like. Do you need to clear the photos? Just get some pictures of trains so people know what we're talking about. They have to be modern trains that are actually germane to the conversation, like large freight trains or modern Amtrak trains, transportation like metros that are throughout the East Coast. And fuck that. Any little choo-choo will do.
It's quite disgusting. And again, Anna, it's beautiful that you said it was like, this is just Joe Biden executive order. He didn't need to go whip up no votes in Congress. This is just by fiat.
No. If they decide to not take the deal, it has to go to Congress. All right. She read the rule that allows him to do this by executive order, but it's only fucking temporary.
He could do this, and what he chooses to.
That's right. They chose those trains just because they have like black smoke coming out of the top of it, so it looks polluting. Is that the idea? They didn't want to show the Amtrak trains because they look like they might be on renewable or run on electricity.
Do with this power is to just punch these workers in the nose, which is just shameful and awful.
It's shameful and awful. He's I mean, to go like down to the rail yard, Joe Biden, and just punch these workers in the nose one at a time. It was amazing that as many of them stayed in line as long as they did.
And I can't help but think.
I'm surprised they didn't use Thomas the Train pictures.
Think about how he is very much willing to flex his executive muscle when it comes to preventing workers from striking. But when it comes to other executive privileges, like the ability to, with a stroke of a pen, cancel student loan debt, it would take.
Okay. Also, this is from before what Biden said. The president cannot, quote, cancel student loan debt permanently. He can't do it. I don't give a rat fuck what anybody has been like. The smoke around this has been garbage for too long. He can shave off the interest. He can make one-time emergency payments to it. But can I run through that? Because there's a bunch of that shit too. Because obviously the right is freaking out about this. And I looked up, let me see if I can find this for you. Right, okay. So, we'll get, you know what? I'll save it for the breakdown because Jimmy Dore goes after the student loan debt thing. So we'll do that next.
Take no effort, really.
Yes, it would. It would take Herculean effort and it would fuck the entire government because it would set a precedent where using discretionary budget funds, the next president could write off all of Boeing or Northrop Grumman or fucking Raytheon's contract debts to the U.S. government. So, you know what, those planes you were supposed to build for us that we paid you for that you haven't built yet? Fuck it. I'll just make it vanish. You can't. It's just silly. Like, again, you're not only are they making a promise that Bernie made and that Elizabeth Warren played around with, and they're leaving it on Biden's shoulders and making it as though he made that promise, not those other people, and that they elected him to do what Sanders said he was going to do that he could not do as president. All of them, every Dem who was running was like, you send me a bill from Congress that cancels student loan debt because Congress holds the purse strings, sign it in a fucking second. Yeah, Nina Turner does this shit all the time. It's ridiculous. Like I half the time I'm like, they know better, they're just being assholes. And then sometimes I'm like, maybe they don't know any better. Maybe they don't give a shit enough to even talk about a slippery slope budgetarily. You imagine what a Republican could do with a stroke of the pen ability to eliminate debt for any particular group in the fucking country? Are you kidding me? Anything backed by the federal government? Well, Jesus Christ. What about every regional bank in the country that is loaned to the Trump organization? How about that magic fucking Arizona bank that all of a sudden when Trump was running out of money started giving him shit? Yeah. HAL Sparks, Biden is president, not Bernie. Sorry. Yeah, well, that's the point. Biden's doing what he said he would do, not what Bernie said he would do, and Bernie couldn't even do what he said he was going to do if he got in there anyways. All right, so we'll get to this in a second.
He pretends like he doesn't know whether he has the ability to do that.
No, you pretend that he does.
Through an executive order.
Which he can't.
He absolutely does.
No, he doesn't.
They're federal government loans.
Right. Which are the responsibility for which to the taxpayer is delegated by the Congress, which controls the purse strings. The president can use discretionary funds to eliminate portions of debts in emergency situations. They can, in this case, they're basically, the writing is that it's based on the accumulative interest that is burdensome. We'll do the math on how much debt it actually eliminates. Because it's fucking striking when you actually see how much the average person actually has borrowed and how much debt is alleviated by Biden's actions.
And the education secretary, with Biden's blessing, can cancel the debt.
No, they can't.
I mean, it's such a layup. That's the thing that I don't get.
You don't get it because you're operating your thought process on a false premise.
So many easy things that Biden could do.
Yeah, they're just easy. They're so easy. Everybody else could have done them. They didn't even do a slice of them.
Canceling the debt is one thing.
No, it isn't.
Taking marijuana off the Schedule I drug list is another thing he could do.
No, you can't do that by executive order.
Easy layups, layup after layup, but he misses every time. So I want to give the workers a voice here. Let's start with one of the railroad workers from Virginia who says, "I work for Norfolk Southern."
Workers from Virginia from the World Socialist website. This just says worker from Virginia. I mean, it's got to be legit.
We have a long pool in which the conductors get no set days off.
No set days off.
They leave their home terminal and can spend up to 36 hours or more in a hotel waiting for their next train.
Yeah, it's a train, it's not an airplane. I mean, pilots do the same shit in 72-hour shifts, but more planes go in and out of the country than trains do. Yeah, you need more workers for that to happen. It's a volume problem.
And I don't know for sure, but I would venture to say that as they're waiting for that next train in a hotel, when
they're being beaten with reeds, Joe Biden comes by and punches them in the nose, calls them corn pop.
They would probably much rather be at home. They're not getting paid for those hours. I'm not sure.
Get the fuck out of here. Of course they're getting paid. I'm not sure. Just assume. Of course they're getting. You can't just strand them in fucking Kansas. We'll let you know when there's another train, Gary. The fuck out of here. They're not getting paid. Shut the fuck up. Like, that's not even. What the shit? Let's see. With the White House, the United States Capitol, and other governments. Okay.
I'm just suspecting that that's the case.
I'm just suspecting. You know what? I'm just going to say it as if. Yeah, that's what they do. You fucking you get per diem plus hours. Of course you fucking do. They can't just. Your employer in the United States of America cannot strand you. Well, all these train conductors or train workers are not fucking John Candy in planes, trains, and automobile. What the fuck? How do you even just let that come out of your face?
He continues to say.
Sorry, I had to stop reading what worker from Virginia was saying to interject my absolute horseshit. Why you got to be stranded in Kansas? I don't think you do, Water Goddess. I think it's a lovely place to be stranded sometimes, but.
Or she, I'm unsure because
it's generic and offers no evidence at all that it's an actual person.
Person gave the quote anonymously.
Yes, anonymously. My name is Worker from Virginia. I often go to worker response for American Socialist website, which is totally legit and made by American Socialists. Democratic Socialists of America make great website.
Often that will be their day off. So they're like on call.
Often they have no set days off except the days that they're stuck someplace. Often that will be their off day. 36-hour day, all right. In a hotel, waiting on the train back home. When they get back home to their home terminal, they're often back to work after their 10-hour mandatory rest period, depending on how quick the pool is turning.
Or waiting for their next job on their day off, in a hotel, waiting on their train back home. When they get.
Is she interjecting words, or is she just reading from a part that's not on the screen? Hold on. Back the fuck up. This is a lot longer clip than I thought would be necessary.
On their day off, in a hotel, waiting on their train back home. When they get back home to their home terminal, they're often back to work after their 10-hour mandatory rest period, depending on how quick the pool is turning. Here's another worker from Texas. I was forced to take.
Houseparks, how do we check on Anna Kasparian's college loans and check up on when she uses to pay the $10,000 to pay her loan? It's a good question. My guess is she paid hers off a long time ago. She and Cenk are doing all right.
Stimulants to stay awake and sleeping pills to sleep. Then more stimulants to wake up from the pills I took to go to sleep.
Okay, you were not forced to take stimulants. They did not hold you down and shovel them into your face.
It got to where I couldn't sleep at all. Then I would fall asleep for way too long and couldn't wake up. I literally felt like I was going crazy. I mean, the torture that these workers are going through, both physically and mentally, is insane.
Well, I mean, the first thing they should do is not watch your show. That would probably they would lower their blood pressure and get a little more zen.
And again, to see.
I was taking so much coke, buddy, that I had to it took like 4 bottles of Jack to slow me down and stuff. I was like, dude, it was the fucking rum diaries up in here.
Biden taint, the one thing that I felt the need to give him credit on, which is, his NLRB has been pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, this is a continuation of that very thing.
Standards are low, let's keep that in mind, right? But good relative to other administrations.
But not enough. And if we don't get everything, nobody gets anything. Fuck that guy.
But he has now soiled that.
Well, he's old, and sometimes it just happens if somebody startles you.
One positive thing in his administration by
the one positive thing.
Stepping in and basically preventing these workers from striking to ensure that they get back.
For 30 days while the arbitration board works out a balanced plan for them to take it on. And if they don't choose to go with it, the Congress acts on it and will vote it in.
Better working conditions and better pay. Finally, let me just tell you what happens next. We've entered another 30-day period in which.
It was a 60-day period from the fucking start. That's how it works. It's always how it has worked. 30 days to ramp up, set the board in motion. They talk to both sides. They create a plan. 30 days after that, they have a cooling off period for negotiations about this particular deal. If both sides are intransigent and walk away, then it goes to fucking Congress while everybody can't strike until Congress makes them take the better deal.
Which the unions cannot strike, and the negotiations are ongoing. Now, if an agreement is not reached, at the end of the 30 days, then unions would be able to strike. However, there's something else to keep in mind.
Oh, Joe Biden could, punch them all in the nose so hard that they sleep through it.
Congress would likely take initiative there.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like the fucking same law that's happened every goddamn time. But meanwhile, they're doing this kind of rando fucking story midstream on this story, just coming in the middle and acting like Biden is fucking Reagan firing the air traffic controllers.
They would intervene as they did in 1992. There's precedent for that.
Right.
So that was when the International Association of Machinists struck against a single railroad, CSX. And so Congress stepped in, and Congress and the White House moved with rare speed. They're always so fast when it comes to these issues, right?
Because they don't get to the point until the workers are about to walk away. They don't get involved in labor disputes except in emergency situations. That's why the rare speed. Eaton and Wotat, please tell me. Wotat? LA Times, June 26, 1992.
Rare speed to end a crippling 2-day nationwide rail.
Yes, after the strike.
Shutdown that already had begun to threaten the economy by forcing layoffs at coal mines and auto assembly plants.
Had already begun to threaten the economy by forcing layoffs at coal mines and auto assembly plants. You know, where poor blue-collar people work their fucking asses off.
House and Senate passed emergency legislation barring strikes and lockouts by large margins, setting up a last best offer arbitration system to resolve the 3 major union management disputes that had idled virtually all US railroads. So there's 2 things that
Yeah, just the 2 things. Biden sucks and it's all his fault and this has never happened before and it's awful. And he did this just because he wants to punch all these railroad workers in the dick.
I think Congress is very speedy with. Number 1, defense spending. They'll pass that bill right away. And anything that allows for the crushing of workers, certainly workers who might strike. So that there you have.
Well, they wouldn't have to act with speed 2 days after a railroad shutdown. If they were quick to act to crush the workers, they would have stopped it months before when the negotiations started. They would have shit the bed 3 years ago when they didn't have a contract. They would have gone, all right, no, nobody goes without a contract. These fuckers will think they can strike eventually. Shut the fuck down. Here's how much you're making. Fuck you. Like, this is the dumbest take.
Have it. That's where we're at with that.
That's where we're at. They just shit on workers. They're in a big fucking hurry to shit on workers. They've been sitting back waiting. It's like, we could act quicker, but let's just hang out for a minute and then we'll just we'll fucking tase them right when they think they can strike. When you strike, I'll strike, bang. Jesus fucking Christ.
Railroad worker negotiation situation, and we'll fill you in as we get more details.
No, you won't. No, you won't. You avoided the details you had. This whole story serves one purpose. Fuck Joe Biden. It's a fucking, I mean, this might as well be a segment on the 5.
But yeah,
it's like, I mean, what more do you need? Yeah. Nothing. It's nothing. Nothing. Joe Biden does nothing. The only thing he does fast is he comes in and he punches him in the nose. He punches him in the fucking nose, this guy. That's what he does. He waits to the last second and then he springs on him all like old and shit and he punches him in the fucking nose.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Fuck does that mean? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Excuse me, I'll put it in my in the fucking engine and let the smoke come out and show how awful trains are. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Don't mind all the shit we get wrong, but don't forget to like and subscribe and sign up today to pay for the show. Because it's worth more than free, even though we lie our fucking asses off. It's Hal Pacino. It's not a good enough Al Pacino, but it's you fucking shithead. Just a little bit of that. I'll fucking punch you in the fucking nose. Just, hey, I'm gonna come in here, bang. Come on. It's a good example of, like, you have to understand, TYT has no value as a subversive and anti-democrat organization if they don't play fiddle-faddle with anti-Trump news and that kind of stuff and just kind of do the window dressing stories of pretending to be on the left, because then the audience wouldn't show up. You gotta pretend to be on somebody's side to draw them in. It's all a farce. But the whole goal is, don't fucking vote for these guys. They don't do shit. Stay home. Anything they do, if it looks good, it's the worst. It's better than, literally, it's worse than if they did nothing at all. And if they're doing nothing at all, I'm going to make up a promise that they were going to do something to prove that they didn't do the something they never said they were going to do that I thought they should do, but that the person that said they were going to do that couldn't get fucking elected. And it's just the stupidest thing. And it's totally consistent. Now, before we jump into the next, I have to, obviously, we live in crazy, crazy pants times. It's crazy pants. The whole thing is crazy pants, people. We live in crazy pants, people. And no one can get us through it like Glenn Beck, who distills the news like weasel poop coffee. Like he goes in and then Stu smears it on the wall, and then we understand. That's how we come to understand. Obviously, Glenn was late getting to the studio today, coming straight from 4th grade, where as a grown man, he dresses like his mom insists. I don't know if it's a leftover Tucker Carlson thing. I don't know what that is. But there he is. And I'm just saying, it's a green shirt. It's going to be tempting. Depends on what he talks about. I'm not going to, got to keep your powder dry sometime. But this is Glenn. So in case he's going by one name these days. It's like, it's not, you don't call him Glenn Beck. That's like saying, Madonna, what's her name? Whatever her last name is. It's like saying Cher Bono, whatever. Shut up. All right, Glenn Beck. These news stories show America has gone insane. That's what it is. Like, it's just going to be one after the other. And you and I, obviously, we've collectively lost our fucking minds. We got nothing left. We're all broken inside. We're a mess. And Glenn Beck is going to show us just how fucked up we are. I'm excited. Let's see it.
Hit. And honestly...
Oh, well, that'd be a start. Hold on. I didn't hear the beginning of that sentence.
I'm going to go through some of the stories that we're just not going to have time to hit. And
okay, good. Well, then that's the end of that clip. Okay, thanks, guys. We just don't have time for it. All right. Okay. All right, here we go.
And honestly, in today's show throughout, I'm hitting about maybe 40% of the news that you will find in my daily show prep newsletter.
Okay, so you're behind. I look, if you're not hitting your own personal goals, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do about it, Glenn. Stop blathering. Look, keep your train of thought. I think that's more. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on trains.
This is, I don't think anybody has ever done it to this detail before. It's raw news.
Ouch.
And it is what I read every morning, what my staff, all of my producers work on for 20.
Yeah, so you have staff selecting certain news stories to further a narrative that they know you want to sort of install in the brains of your listeners and viewers. They're not randomizing this. As a matter of fact, over time, they have figured out exactly which stories will wind you the fuck up and get you laser focused on them so much that you'll think the whole country and the rest of the world operates like that.
21 hours.
Yes, this is Glenn Beck, Raw Dogs the News.
After a show, we
Thanks, Grant.
begin show prepping immediately.
Oh, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, Venmo, if you want to. And tomorrow night, I will be in San Francisco at Bottom of the Hill. I'm so excited to play this club. I've never played it before, and it's always been a dream of mine because it's a great club. Rock Club. Nerd Halen is opening for Enough's Enough. And then September 9th, Sexy Liberal in Washington, D.C. Get the meet and grope. There, that's me being a professional. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at it. Let's go.
For the next day show. And about
Great.
6 months ago, I just felt that the news was so important and I couldn't get it all into the show. And you might miss something I hit in, hour 1 or hour 3 or
Right. It's nobody's fault. I'm just saying, you guys suck.
or whatever. So we released it after much debate, and you can get it now.
Oh, you can get it, all right. Like it's like monkeypox.
At glennbeck.com. It is free.
Oh, you're not charging us for the aggregate service that your staff puts together for you? You mean the stories other people write that they just go, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. You're not going to charge us for your staff finding stories that will make your head pop off?
Just sign up for it.
No. Why would I? That's not free.
I'm using about 40% of
of your energy just sitting up.
what's in that newsletter today is on the program
How either the video is too high or you're too low. Audio-wise, I don't know.
today. But let me just give you some of the highlights, because I think today, for some reason, after going through all of it, I thought today is different. There's something different about the news, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it. It feels like the most important news day of my life.
August 25th, 2022. I'm sorry, that's a freeze frame for the ages. That's a good one. I feel like Glenn Beck and I are having a pull a stupid face contest. Okay.
Of my career. But that's not quite right.
Yeah, you're right. I doubt it's going to be August 25th, 2022. I just feel like you're, what's the word? Full of shit. It's not quite a word, it's a phrase, but you get it.
And I don't know what it is.
Might be your aftershave.
But maybe you can figure it out.
Yeah, that's our job. Sorry, I've been slacking lately.
Let me give you some of the stories. Atlanta police identify a man accused of defacing rainbow crosswalks with swastikas. So, of course, they arrested this white Nazi. Oh, no, he's not a white Nazi.
He's a orange. He's black. He's a Thai Nazi.
He's a black nationalist.
He's an anti-gay black nationalist. He's a Uhuru. It wouldn't happen to be a supporter of was it Gazi Kodzo or whatever that fucking dude's name is?
He has an account online where he talks openly about killing people.
Well, yeah. I mean, anybody who spray paints Nazis on rainbow crossings is. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna guess that if you go into his shit, it's gonna be ugly.
And how blacks are the master race,
which obviously is insane. I mean, it's one thing to paint swastikas on pride crosswalks and stuff, but that once you start saying there's one master race, me and Stu, and that's it, okay? Again, there's fucking 340 million people in this fucking country. Your staff is cherry-picking lunatics. Who gives a fuck?
The vandalism, of course, when they were. It's got to be white nationalists that are doing, probably white Christian nationalists. No.
Why would they say white Christian nationalists? I mean, it is the Hakenkreuz or whatever. The swastika is actually it was used by a lot of old religions, like Christic religions, as a hooked cross for a while. I mean, the Nazis stole it. They stole it from the Tibetans and the Japanese, the Buddhists.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, we know. And this is only a story if they went and arrested 10 white dudes and put them in jail for weeks. And then are like, actually, it turned out to be a bigot who's also black. Who gives a fuck?
Some of his posts make reference to a master race of black people. Other posts are religious in nature.
Yes. Religious in nature. What are you going to go with? I'm going with Egyptian motifs and... yeah, we'll see.
He targets Jehovah Witnesses for
fucking Jehovah's. Well, I mean, obviously. So we know he's got a front door, and he doesn't like to be bothered.
portraying biblical figures as white. You know, he is.
He's an asshole. He's a bigot. Yeah. So what? And again, did they scoop up a bunch of like these January 6th people just walked out of jail and they're like, thank God, I'm finally free. I've been set free. Oh, I made bail in my January 6th thing. Excuse me, where the fuck do you think you're going? What happened? We know you painted swastikas on Pride on the billboards. And so I did not. I was in jail for January 6th. Just shut up, you cracker. Get in here. He called me a racial slur, but this is terrible. And then 6 months later, he's on a hunger strike. I swear I didn't do it. Like, and then ironically,
he's not a well man.
No shit.
But he's also black.
Well, I'm glad. I will say, all right, progress. At least he makes the distinction between being black and being unwell. That these are not intrinsically linked. Baby steps, Glenn. Baby steps.
Biden has announced yesterday
that he's making him his diversity campaign chairperson.
Another $3 billion in arms for Ukraine.
And he's having this guy carry the money in small unmarked bills. The fuck?
My research staff is working right now. There is something very wrong with
the Russian battle plan.
The money that we're sending over there.
Really? Is it counterfeit? We're sending counterfeit money to the Ukrainians? Shh, don't tell them. Apparently, they're buying all kinds of cool shit.
There's something very wrong.
It's very wrong. We were supposed to send them just enough money to lose, and now we're sending them too much money.
And I think old scores are being settled.
You think? You mean where Putin says that Ukraine is historically a part of Russia and Ukrainians don't exist and they need to be wiped out because Stalin? Yeah, I'm going to go with that's an old score from fucking Jesus Christ. How many hundreds of years we're going to go back? Yes, the Ukrainians have been fucked by the Russians for a long time. That's why the word slave comes from Slavic, you dumb fuck.
Old political scores. Remember, this was the playground of George Soros, of Hillary Clinton.
Really? They grew up there on swing sets?
Of Barack Obama, of Joe and Hunter Biden.
Yes, Ukraine was, I don't know if you, I was like, fuck, man. It was like Trump with golf. Man, every time you turn around, these fuckers are in Ukraine on a swing set. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
This was
We've been dealing with Russia attacking Ukraine since, like, they attacked Ukraine while Obama was president. We've been pushing back on it since then. Hillary ran after that. What the fuck are you talking about? Playground.
A funnel of money.
Well, no, I think it's more like a conveyor belt.
That's just been lost. We've sent over there, and this is, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Just lost.
Never. Obviously the Russians weren't able to move forward at any time, so obviously it was being spent on munitions, or they would have just been able to stampede across. And of course, they're getting their ass kicked now. So obviously the money is getting there and is buying arms from us in some cases. Their people aren't dying. The refugees who left were fed, housed, provided with medical care during the time.
Don't know what happened. Where did I
don't know where I went. I don't know where to go. Obviously, it was being used to buy Stinger missiles and javelins Otherwise, Donald Trump wouldn't have withheld the fucking money.
Put that $1.8 billion.
Why would Glenn Beck know about Ukraine anyway? He doesn't. He's talking out of his ass. I don't get it.
I just can't find it. Did I leave it in my other suit? And I don't have any evidence now.
Oh, motherfucker. How? It's the same shit Anna just did. I don't have any evidence. I'm going to make an extraordinary claim about the lives and deaths of other people who are fighting off fucking rape squads and having their dead relatives mined as Russians leave town. I'm going to make extraordinarily vicious claims about these fucking people, and about I don't have any evidence. I don't have any fucking evidence. I don't know.
Now, but I have a feeling if you want to...
Feeling? Shut the fuck up.
Start looking up some things if you're good at being an investigative mole, but...
What? Being an investigative mole? What do you mean looking up things, you dumb motherfucker? If they're stealing the money in Ukraine and it's not going to the weapons, first of all, where the fuck are all those weapons coming from? I'm sure the Russians would like to know. Holy shit. If they're funneling money out of the country and it's all graft, then these weapons must be way fucking cheaper than we thought. And secondarily, you can't be an investigative mole. Here, Glenn, get off your fat ass and go over there. I'm sure you can find a Sonic somewhere in the fucking Donbass. Go be a fucking investigative mole. How do you even... And again, keep in mind, how did this segment start? These news stories show America has gone insane. First of all, he's talking about one nutty dude in Atlanta. Who gives a rat fuck? Everybody can be racist, dummy. Like, every group has its racists. Who gives a shit? You don't get to painting everyone else because of the behavior of one of the people, or even categorically saying they can't be that, is in and of itself racist, because you are describing, you either painting with a broad brush or isolating based on, he can't be black, they don't do that. Like that, it's equally kind of racist bullshit. And then follow it up with, I don't have any evidence, but I just feel like, I've been reading this news, and I just feel like, it was their playground. They were just playing, it's their playground. Fuck you.
I'm telling you, something's really wrong there.
Yes, the Russians supposedly had the second biggest military in the fucking world, and they're getting their ass handed to them. And we're not even on the ground. We're just giving them the shit to do it. And the Ukrainians are handling it.
There. The Biden...
That's 2 stories, by the way, in his 4-hour fucking list.
Administration has now moved to formalize DACA to protect 600,000 migrants from any kind of legal challenge. By the way, we're up to 4 million people that have come into the United States under his watch.
Under his watch. They get kicked out. They come back again. They're counted 3 times. These people have been here since they were brought here as minors. That's the whole fucking point.
Also, Biden has now moved to fund...
Yeah, it's interesting, too, by the way. He said migrants coming in, 4 million migrants, which I guess would include both legal and illegal migrants. And they're... Oh, God, this is so lazy.
Canadian mines while blocking U.S. mining.
1 second.
Under his watch. Also, Biden has now moved to fund Canadian mines while blocking U.S. mining.
It's almost like we as Americans don't mind pollution as long as it doesn't fuck up our aquifers. And some countries have mines in areas that aren't attached to their aquifers, and therefore...
Isn't that great? Love that. It's good for Canada.
Hold on 1 second. He's reading these off as if they're real, too. Hold on 1 second. Biden, Canadian mines, U.S. mines, blah, I don't know what the fuck. Okay, but seeks Yeah, so this is an article from the Federalist. And there's, thank you so much. Who's that? Oh, somebody. One second. Somebody. Thank you, Robert, for the Venmo. Appreciate it. Okay, so this I'll show you what he's talking about. So he's reading these fucking things off as if they are, I guess, somehow indicative of some greater reality. Okay, Biden shops for critical minerals in Canada while shutting down mining projects on American soil. Looking for north for critical mineral supplies while he shuts down major mining projects on American soil. Are they the same fucking thing? He's shutting down coal mines and trying to get lithium someplace else. Like, what? All right. President Joe Biden is looking north for critical mineral supplies to meet government-inflated demand for clean energy initiatives while the administration shuts down major mining projects on American soil. Defense Production Act to expedite the expansion of U.S. mining operations behind lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, and manganese as demand rises for the raw materials. Not only are the critical minerals... In March, the president invoked the DPA to expedite the expansion of U.S. mining operations. Okay. Critical minerals critical to the administration subsidized wind and solar farms. Yeah, none of the, we don't need the rest. That's the only thing we use: nickel, cobalt, lithium, and graphite. Fucking graphite? Jesus Christ. But they are essential for defense technology. Central to the administration's subsidized wind and solar farms, but they are essential for defense technologies and popular products from cell phones to laptops. But solar, wind, cancer-causing windmills. Biden triggered the Cold War-era law to reconfigure supply chains of critical minerals away from dependence on China. God damn it! Which dominates refining capacity and production of rare earth elements. Yeah, they're not rare. The president, invoking the DPA, offers federal financial assistance to domestic projects securing American mineral supplies. And in June, the administration published a report identifying Canada as a domestic source under the DPA. Canada is a preferred partner of the United States with critical mineral resources and expertise that could be leveraged to expand processing capacity and manufacturing of intermediate and final goods. By the way, we need... Canada is one of the places where we get the petroleum-based fertilizers, like potash. Like a lot of the majority of the potash that's currently available in North America comes from Canada. There's this big potash area in Michigan that's going to be huge over the next 5 years, and they're investing in getting it up and running. But until then, the best place for us to get it is from Canada. Is a preferred partner. Deborah Strussaker, a hard rock mining and environmental policy expert, who has testified before Congress 5 times, called the effort to finance Canadian mines in lieu of American producers unnecessary. Absolutely, we do not need to finance Canadian operations, Strussaker told the Federalist. When we have abundant minerals in the U.S. Again, also, as a partner for getting the stuff, that doesn't mean we're funding their exploration. Strussaker highlighted Nevada's mass deposits of lithium in particular, which a recent report from the International Energy Agency projected demand will skyrocket to meet the government's electric vehicle needs. Strussaker pointed out Nevada's lucrative reserve set up a state by domestic powerhouse for lithium production. Strussaker also pointed to Minnesota's Twin Metals project as world-class deposit of both nickel and copper. Where's the cobalt? Where's the graphite? Where's the potash? All right. Again... Republican Pete Strawber, and then they switch people to... Anyway, this is horseshit. This is Glenn Beck saying that we're going to be funding Canadian mines when we should be funding... We're just buying some... If we're going to buy the stuff from outside the country, our preferred partner to buy it from, if we don't have enough of it, is Canada.
Mexican journalist was killed hours after publishing a story about local officials' involvement in the disappearance of 43 students in 2014. These buses filled with these students was found just shot all up.
Right. 2014. Story's been going for a long time. Mexico's fucked up. Please make this Joe Biden's fault.
We know that they were surrounded by police. They came in for some reason. They just opened fire on the.
They just did it because they were like, they just wanted to come in. It had nothing to do with the fact that this was cartel land and this religious group decided to just drive through the fucking middle of it like a bunch of lunatics and ignore everyone's warnings. And it was a terrible tragedy, but somehow it happened in 2014. So it's got to be, Biden probably signed, it was probably had something to do with Fast and Furious.
These buses, and then the bodies were gone, kids were gone. What happened? No investigation until this guy starts to question, and he publishes something online. He's killed within a couple of hours.
Yeah, the cartels are fucked up. Again, why is this story in particular? Let me show you something else. Can I show you? Let me do this. Let's go this way. This is the new. This is the most recent one. No. Hold on. Let's do. I want to find the most recent story of one of these things. This is yeah, this is from February. Spinal stimulation helps people with paralysis walk, canoe, and stand at a bar. A new system that targets specific spinal nerves restored motor function quickly in 3 patients unable to move their legs or trunk. Crazy stories. The world is full of crazy stories. Hi. I would. That's lovely. Is food here? Is that what that was? Okay. I will finish this clip up and then I will be up in a moment. Huh? It's good. Yeah. Plain iced tea. Let's see. I'm going to do a news thing real quick. Hold on. Hold on. There you go. This is a little sideline. This is Jerusalem Post. Israel and Portugal, move this guy around, discover molecular key to treating cancer. Study. Researchers at Tel Aviv University of Lisbon call their work a breakthrough. August 8th, 2022. Isn't that nice? Crazy. The world's full of crazy stories. My staff came up with that. They just, you know, it's gonna be available at glennburke.com.
Spotify. Now, this is interesting.
Sure.
Spotify spends how much? $100 million on Joe Rogan? Wasn't that what it was?
That was what it was reported as. I think it was, a lot of reports that it was even more than that.
Okay. So let's just say it's $100 million. That's a lot of money for a company.
Their biggest investment when it comes to podcasting.
By far. By far.
And?
Did you know that Spotify, now as they started looking into this, never recommends the Joe Rogan podcast? That's like watching ABC and they say, tonight, it's a new episode.
Yeah, I don't think they have to. They don't have to spend any advertising on it. It's the most known thing about Spotify. Who gives a shit?
Of your favorite show on NBC.
By the way, he thinks this is on par with a black dude painting swastikas on pride flags and the alleged Ukrainian funnel of money going out of the country. These are stories of a world gone mad. literally, these news stories show America has gone insane because Spotify does not recommend the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, and we're running this stuff too. Well, they're not advertising. They are not suggesting it. He's cut out of the algorithm.
Oh, yeah? Do you have a copy of the algorithm laying around? Hold on 1 second. I don't have a Spotify account, so I'm just going to pull something up. Let's go. Let's see. I got to get past the thing. Let me go search. I go to podcasts. Here's the these are the podcasts they recommend. So this best of the year so far. See all. One's the story of Tableau, Godblow, a Batman original, Being Trans, Gossipton, new podcasts, conversations and community, categories. Would he be under comedy or news and politics? Yeah, there you go. If you go to comedy, he's the #1 podcast. Popular comedy podcast. There you go. He's under comedy. If you go there, that's the first thing that comes up. He's off the algorithm. I don't even know. How are we going to find it? Dear God, there's a button here. It says about. There's a welcome trailer. It's 52 seconds. Mark Zuckerberg was on there. There's Mike Baker. Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. Tim Dillon, Louis C.K., and Joe Liz. Josh Do is the best to learn about COVID-19. They even have to mark some of his. Yeah, whatever happened to Joe Rogan on there? He's only at how many episodes? 1,863 episodes. Yeah, they've a Spotify exclusive. What's that? It's just because it's talk. I guess that's the corner, so you know it's not music. And apparently on the Joe Rogan Experience, you'll frequently see Joe Rogan. Apparently, his like, I thought they would keep that a secret too. You can follow it, you can share it, you can embed the show, you can open in the desktop app. I mean, it's incredible. Sorry. What have I been doing for the last minute and a half? I don't remember anything. That's amazing. The minute you shut down the whatever website that was, I don't even remember there's a hole in my memory where the name of that place was. It's just gone.
What?
World has gone mad. You have to click something 3 times to see the Joe Rogan Experience. It's almost as if they bought all of his listeners and they know that all of his listeners already know about his fucking show and they're trying to get them to listen to the rest of the shit.
Washington Post.
Uh-oh.
A rape survivor.
Who raped the Washington Post? I missed that.
A rape survivor.
So you have said.
Says the Washington Post, falsely ascribed to me the view that the court's decision in Dobbs, the abortion case, to open the door of forced sterilizations by removing constitutional protections for women's bodily autonomy was false. My position is, in fact, the opposite. She was raped as a 13-year-old girl and then sterilized against her will by the state of North Carolina after bringing her baby to term.
And she was for what? As a Democrat, I'm not for forced sterilization, I would like to say for the record.
We're still doing progressive sterilizations?
No.
Why is that happening?
It's not.
I thought we stopped that in the 1920s and 30s.
I don't know when. You're not attributing the story to fucking anything, Glenn. This might be a story from 1951.
By the way,
no, whatever I said about that. I'm not going to put it up on the screen or anything. I know I'm surrounded by fucking screens. I know I have every ability. My staff puts this list of crazy headlines together, and we put the list on the thing, but you have to subscribe or sign up to get the list so you can see what these fucking articles are. But I'm just going to ramble through my like fucking balloon-headed idea of what these stories are about.
so you know, the Germans didn't come up with it.
Huh?
We did. We taught eugenics to them.
Yeah, but I mean, Les Paul invented the electric guitar, but he really wasn't the dude to make it sing. I mean, it years later, Eddie Van Halen and others would really, give it a good go. And what the fuck do you mean we?
Literally, the top eugenicists in the world were in America, and they made a journey over to Germany.
Yeah, they weren't having a good time over here, apparently.
To explain to all of the very sophisticated German progressive scientists what could be done through eugenics.
Also, what the fuck does this have to do? Hold on. We're going to do laps on, and this is by the way, America love it or leave it crowd, is now saying that America taught the Germans how to, everything we know about eugenics, and then I guess they just misused it.
They learned that from us.
Well, you and Stu have a lot of explaining to then, and fuck you for that. I don't even know how you learned to do it in the first place, but the fact that you were willing to teach it to assholes who were dressed like that?
Judicial Watch, a great organization that...
It's one dude.
Really, if you can help an organization, they are really good.
And they need help. They're really good, but they haven't really been able to do anything. Good doesn't mean effective.
They just filed a FOIA lawsuit against the National Archives for hiding the records tied to the raid on Trump's home.
The search and seizure warrant that was lawfully used on a rental property that the bank owns and Trump carries the deed for.
And yet another senseless murder.
Oh my God. Humanity, when are you going to learn your lesson? When did senseless murders start? Right around when Dateline started airing, right? They did the first one ever.
A progressive George Soros prosecutor in Virginia
murdered a black dude for painting swastikas on a gay person in the middle of a drag show. And, all right.
Dropped charges against a felon with a history of gun charges.
Fucking guns.
Now,
I like guys with a lot of history of gun charges. That's my kink. But
I can guarantee you
that gun charges is code for Jewish.
If you're caught on a gun charge, or I'm caught on a gun charge, they will throw away the key.
A, no, they won't. And B, Glenn, you cannot be charged for self-inflicted gun wounds in your own ball. They're going to bring an ambulance and go, somebody film this.
But this guy was a felon with a history of gun charges.
Mm-hmm. Where'd he get another gun, though? I mean, how did he end up getting a gun?
He was let out. He was freed by the Soros prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't use his time well. Francis Rose shot 2 innocent bystanders in the head while robbing an apartment complex in Alexandria, Virginia. By the way, Alexandria, Virginia used to be a pretty safe place. It's right across the Potomac River.
You can't go there anymore. There was a robbery in an apartment building, and a guy shot 2 people during the robbery. Listen to the sound of my voice. If you live in a city where anything like that has happened, grab your shit, get in your car, drive to the woods, and await further instructions. This is the end of the world. The country has gone insane. This is the first time 2 people have been killed in a botched robbery in an apartment building in the history of Virginia. There's never been any gunplay in Virginia.
From Washington, D.C. It used to be a place where you didn't fear for your life.
I still don't.
At some point, this is all...
It's nuts. There's people being shot in the head. Joe Rogan's getting killed by the algorithm. What? Fucking the hell.
The gods of the copybook headings. That the truth will return.
This motherfucker, if he's winding up to go to commercial, and this is just fucking filler.
Has to. The question is, how much...
What is the question? I'm waiting. I'm excited. I was concerned that I'd stop giving a shit right about now, and I have, but I'm waiting for the question. So are you. It's exciting. This is good. It's going to be life-changing. Here it comes.
It has to. The question is...
Yes?
How much of everything will it burn down?
How much of everything will it burn down? You are truly a poet, Glenn Beck. Are we talking percentages? Or is the fire an allegorical fire? Or are you talking actual? Huh?
In our quest to reestablish it.
How much? What? How is it? Run that question by me again, you asshole. Just killing time to get to a commercial break. He's gonna fucking point at the screen, and they're gonna start the music and go. I'm gonna be so fucking pissed. It's just a word salad. He's like that dude who won the marathon but shit himself as he ran across the line. He's just like, I'll do anything. Just get me across the blump. Get me across the line. I'm going through. Ow. I'm running. I'm going to make it. I don't know. What form? What's form? I'm lucky I made it. All right.
It has to. The question is.
Okay. I had to back up because I don't know what the fuck the question is. Give it to me again.
How much of everything will it burn down in our quest to reestablish it? Because everything we're doing...
I don't know what the fuck that was. That's not a question. That's not anything. Like, what? What are you doing? You just spouted off these fucking rando store headlines that are supposed to make everybody go, oh my God, the world is, I'm afraid to look out the fucking window. And then Water God's like, what is it? What is that sentence?
No. The Constitution never foresaw any of this.
They didn't? Yeah, you didn't think the whole well-regulated militia thing wasn't them going, you can have guns, but we got to know who has them and when. They didn't foresee that. They didn't go, search and seizure. You gotta get a warrant, and the FBI will go. There's a process, and you have your day in court, and you can answer it, and then that kind of shit. But you can't steal national security. If you get, I will say this. You are right about one thing. The founding fathers never could even fathom the idea that Joe Rogan would be poached from YouTube for $100 million to go to Spotify as one of their comedy podcasts to maintain the number one spot in their comedy podcasts as a way of drawing other listeners to even though I honestly, it used the exact, the whole deal was structured on the same deal that brought Howard Stern to Sirius XM. And I don't think that Madison, there's no fucking way Madison or Jefferson saw that shit coming.
Any of this. Because this is all insanity.
Yeah, electric cars, fucking windmills that give birds cancer, nuclear weapons, Viagra. They didn't see any of this shit coming.
I mean, literally, we have gone insane.
Because Joe Rogan's getting bumped off the algorithm. There was a fucking botched robbery in an apartment building in Alexandria, Virginia. Some asshole bigot was spraying swastikas on the fucking sidewalk. And what? Oh, and a funnel, and you don't know, but you feel money is being stolen that's going to Ukraine.
We will be remembered as
sexy. I know. It's true. That's my goal. Hi there. That's what I want. I've noticed that when my hair is back and it's shiny, I have a very I need to do like a Desperado sketch. Just yeah.
The craziest, and God, please destroy us before we can use our technology.
Yes, kill me before I figure out how to swipe right. Some of these hoes.
Please destroy us.
Please, yes. What do you mean? Please destroy us before we destroy ourselves? He's not that kind of a god, dummy.
If we're not careful, we will become the darkest nation ever. We will go from the shining city on the hill.
What? You got this from those news stories?
To with our modern technology.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen those like dick cuffs that you can link up to like porn websites and with an app, they do this kind of thing? Is that what you're talking about? Have you, and I'm not going to use them because they look like they make julienne fries. No fucking way. But
in the hands of the wrong people, we'll kill millions, hundreds of millions.
We'll kill hundreds of millions. There's 8 billion of us. We'll shrug it off, but
we will make Mao look like a rookie.
We will? How? Because the only one of those stories was like random criminals, us supporting another country to defend itself, and maybe it not doing that because of graft or some idea, which you have no evidence of or whatever, and Joe Rogan's fucking Spotify deal?
And I fear that's already happening in some...
It's not! Mao killed 50 million fucking people! He was disgusting! He didn't brush his teeth. He'd use he just swished tea. He didn't believe in cleaning his junk. He said, I wash my genitals in the bodies of my concubines. He was fucking gross. He starved 30 to 50 million of his own fucking people. We're not anywhere near that, you fucking tool.
Some of our policies, but...
Some of our policies. Jesus Christ.
Right now, they're not our policies.
Oh, yes, the sterilization eugenics story. We taught the Germans how to do it, and Mao used it himself. I don't know what the fuck.
They're going to be blamed on America, but it is the World Economic Forum.
The Great Reset. Oh, we're selling the book now.
And their policies. And it's so important for you to know that
that I have a book about this.
Is not an American problem.
Well, what a relief.
Yes, we're dealing with it here. But every Western country in the world is dealing with it as well.
Uh-huh. So it's Biden's fault. So Biden, this is affecting Germany because of Biden. Spain, Biden. Italy, Biden. Finland, Biden. Sweden, Biden. Latvia, Biden. Lithuania, Biden's fault. Hungary, fuck Biden.
That's why you see protest, and that's why you're not being shown the protests. Have you ever lived in a time where there have been massive protests in Europe and you don't see them on the news?
Uh-huh. Dude, I lived in a time when there were massive protests against the Iraq War. I participated in them, and they weren't on the fucking news. They were here.
Why is that, I wonder?
Because it's we got our own problems and we're dealing with them, and it doesn't affect us directly. And if any of them were anything more than, large labor disputes, which we saw, obviously the stuff around Macron and the yellow vests, and we saw that shit.
Because they don't want you to see what they're facing because they're ahead with.
What? Oh, it's coming here next. I see. So the yellow vests are coming to the United States.
The farmers, they're ahead of us.
We're not doing what fucking Switzerland is doing to their farmers.
And what the farmers are saying now is none of this works. You're going to starve all of Europe and the world to death if you continue down this road, because we cannot farm that way.
I honest to fucking God. The United States is not outlawing like petro-fertilizers like Sri Lanka or fucking Switzerland. I don't know what the fuck he is talking about. But apparently Biden's going to outlaw fertilizer and starve everyone to death because he wants to be Mao. That's the only thing I can put together from this. And it's all because Joe Rogan got $100 million from Spotify. Biden's still pissed about that.
They don't want you seeing that.
No, they just don't. Because they want you to be caught off guard by the time you get here. It's on the internet, and if you wanted to look it up, you could see it. But
you have to actually go search for it. So just look up European protests, farmers.
Okay. If I may. European protests, farmers. I don't know why the Europeans are protesting farmers, but we'll find out. This is the news on it. Here's the stories that are coming up right away. There you go. Just go for it. Europe's right-wing piggybacks on Dutch farmer protests. Farmers' protest in Netherlands reflects rise of popular revolts in Europe. Dutch farmer protests show how messy the climate, something, blah, blah, blah. Fact check. Clip of farmer protesters spraying police with hay, something, something. Dutch farmers dump manure, garbage on roads to protest planned emission reductions. The outrage by Dutch farmers. No farms, no food. Dutch farmers confront billionaire green something. Netherlands. Farmers protest express impasse of Dutch. Well, I'm with you. It's just 4 weeks ago. It was on Politico's front page. Let's see. How about now? National Catholic Register. Time magazine. Farm protests in the Netherlands show just how messy climate transition can be. Fact check clip. This is Reuters. Users have shared a clip claiming that it shows Dutch farmers spraying hay onto a police line in August, but the video dates back to 2015 demonstrations in Belgium calling for European Union to provide emergency support measures to the farming sector after a Russian ban on EU food imports. How to deal with fascism. Thank you, Dutch farmers. August 15, 2022. Even though these are Belgian farmers, and this is about Russia. Okay. Netherlands. Dutch farmers blast out mixture hay. Welcome to the Farmers' Rebellion in Netherlands. These are all fucking whatever. Dutch farmers dumping manure. That's the same thing. PBS. That's 1 month ago. John Phipps is the outrage by Dutch farmers now being blood. No farms, no food. This is the gray zone. That's what's his name? That's on Jimmy Dore's show is on there all the time. Confront billionaire green elites food system reset plan. Boy, just every buzzword you can fucking find. Yeah. I don't know how we'll ever see this. It's been going on for weeks and every major news source has covered it.
And see the truth of these policies that have now been given power and teeth through the Inflation Reduction Act.
The Inflation Reduction Act does not eliminate the use of potash or petroleum-based fertilizers by farmers in the United States. For the record.
The EPA has been given the power, the money, and the teeth to enforce this now on our farmers.
And no, they haven't.
Read all about these things every day. You can find my news.
Yes, read all of these scattered ass slices of bullshit baloney.
Letter at glennbeck.com.
Jesus Christ. Like, this is all about just getting people to read this new segment on his fucking site. Real quick before I go, I have food waiting for me, and I have yet to eat. Let's see. This is what he's talking about. The Glenn Beck Morning Brief. Get access. There he is. Intended for internal distribution only. This is a special thing that I only do for this. Honestly, I'll click on Get Access. Get all stories, sign up now. No, I'm not signing up for this shit. I want a demo, you asshole. Blog, radio is good, but latest. This is the latest from their blog. He did nothing to deserve this. Mark Levin. Left's FBI misuse did not start with Trump raid. He did not. Mr. Producer. Why Biden's student loan relief plan is a socialist failure. Dude, the checks haven't even been fucking written yet. Exposing BlackRock's ESG hypocrisy. Yeah, weaponized government. How the raid on Mar-a-Lago is an attack on us all. Ooh, did he do a special? Watch the full episode. Weaponized government. How the raid. Well, shit. No, I'm not going to sign up for that. Want more Glenn Beck? Not really. We might have to do. Is this a whole thing? Is this a whole? Yeah. It's one of his fucking specials. It's 48 minutes long. We might have to tackle that one soon. That might have to be a target. Meanwhile, tomorrow morning, I don't know if I'll be doing the morning show from San Francisco or from here. I got to move my flight around so that I can make sure that I'm doing the show. Right now, I'm doing the morning show and then I'm flying there. But to make sure, because there's travel time into the city, that I'm there in time to do the afternoon show, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to push it later, because the more time I have between doing the show and singing, better it is for me. So I'm going to try and do it right on time. Gives me a little wiggle room. So if I can get in there earlier, that would be best. So wish me luck. I'm going to change that around. And if so, I will be doing my show from the hotel if I can get an early check-in. So yeah, I will tweet it out and let you guys know. But either way, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have so much other shit, including, like Jimmy Dore lying about the student loan forgiveness, and basically doing the exact same talking points the Five is doing, just from the other side of it. Just the same fucking coin spinning on its side, like some, token in not Interstellar, in like oh fuck, why am I blitzing on the name now? It's just like, this is the only way these two can fight Biden, is the exact same talking point, just like too far left, not far left at all. And that's the only angle ever. Like too far left or absolutely fucking right wing. Inception. Thanks, Scoremonger. Well done. Yes, it was Inception. Yeah, it's like the token in Inception. Just spins and never flops. Anyways, I'll get to that piece because I want to address it too. I had no idea the TYT clip would be as long and stupid as it is. By the way, if the TYT crowd are going to be that awful, can they at least not be as dumb about the stuff? Is that too much to ask? We'll figure it out. Anyways, you guys are wonderful. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. For those of you that are coming tomorrow night, let me know. I have a couple of guest list spots. I think it will sell out if it hasn't already, but I can probably squeak a couple of people in. So just let me know. If you're a Patreon subscriber, let me know on there. or let CSL or one of the others know, and we'll, one of the mods know. But either way, I will see you guys tomorrow morning for the Friday morning show, 9 a.m. The HAL Sparks mornings, Mega Worldwide. That's 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and then the afternoon show 3 to whenever, except on Thursdays when I start at 4 o'clock and I run a little bit later as we did today because of travel time and all that kind of stuff. You figured it out. Saturday's the radio show, and then in the very near future, we're gonna have. I'm gonna be live in LA once we can arrange it with our dear friend Philip Ittner when he gets out. It's like the first week of September. He's gonna be in LA, so like sometime week after next, we're gonna make it happen. So fingers crossed. Also, some big news coming up, but I'll let you guys know as we go forward. Sexy Liberals, September 9th in Washington D.C. The 24th will be in Chicago, and then October we're going to do the LA one. It's going to be super fun. Look on sexyliberal.com, and I will see you guys later. There you go. That's a pretty good sales pitch, right? Going out the door. Isn't that good? Yeah, that's good.